How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Mullen, which was down 5% on Friday. The pullback we are not shocked about, but it is hitting some key levels we've been speaking about for quite some time. And I want to make sure you're prepared for the coming week. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is a technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Mullen. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $1.14, being down 5% on the day. On the low, it tested $1.12, and then on the high, testing $1.21. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 43.209 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 107.953 million shares. So that is well below the average in regards to volume, and it's part of the reasons why we've seen a pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it's at 44.95. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 50-day, and we're also below the 21-day EMA. And it's clear to see that Mullen is in a bear market, trading below all of our major moving averages. So you guys know how important it is for Mullen to keep price action above the 21-day EMA. Unfortunately, on the Friday, it only saw a high of 121 and it saw a low of 112. So again, not a good sign whatsoever and could signal that there's more downside. And the reason why it's very likely this is going to happen is due to the fact we have a gap that needs to be filled at $1.03. And I said, if $1.17 breaks, the likelihood of us filling that gap is very high. So we saw that low at 112. Again, it's just making its way there. Now, if you're looking for a reversal out of this play, it needs to come back above the 21-day EMA at $1.23. And then, of course, you'd want to see it actually pick up some steam and get to the 50-day moving average, which is at $1.53. Anytime it gets near to this level, it tends to get rejected. So that's why we have to make sure if you're coming up with a trading plan, you're aware of these variables. But as far as from what I am seeing, the combination of lower lows and as well as lower highs, and we've already broken through 117, I could see some downtrend in this play for the coming week. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information from Mullen. So the off exchange short volume ratio is at 33.21%, and then for the off exchange short volume, it is just over 7.68 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 80,000, updated 15 minutes ago. And then for the short ball-fee rate, it is at 9.90%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 9th, it was at 48.60. And then for the close of the 10th, being at 33.21. So that is a significant decrease right there. And then taking a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 13.53%, rounding up to the whole number, Mullen does continue to have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Mullen. So we see on the inflow, it is at 8.43 million, and then on the outflow, it is at 9.37 million. So we had an outflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 0. On the medium, it was 5.58 million. On the small, it was 2.85 million. And then on the large, for the outflow side, it was 0.27 million. On the medium, it was 6.15 million. And then on the small, it was 2.95 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you could see for June the 10th, we had that negative outflow of 0.27 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, you could see that we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 13%. No surprises there. We know that Mullen is a volatile stock, and taking into consideration the market conditions, that's part of the reasons why we saw weakness in the play. Now let's move on to the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details. So for my final thoughts for Mullen when it comes to the price action, so we have the 21-day EMA, which is at $1.23, and we saw a high of the day at $1.21, and as far as for the low of the day, we saw it at $1.12. So what does all of this mean? We are trading below that 21-day EMA, which is definitely not a great sign whatsoever, especially on the high since we only got to $1.21. And if you remember what I said in my previous video, we have a gap that needs to be filled to the downside at $1.03. So you want to look for a break below $1.17. And since we did have that, I see Mullen can go on a further downtrend to fill in that gap, and then we could see what it could do from there. If you are looking for a reversal, you want to see some strength and need to get back above $1.23 and also have a close above that level. We also have the 50-day moving average, which is at $1.53. So once it's able to get above the 21-day EMA, and if it can get to the 50-day moving average, that's where I can say, well, you know what, it is looking really good for this stock. But for the most part, the way how things are looking and taking into consideration the market conditions, it definitely does not look good. But we know already, all it takes is a catalyst to get this play moving very quickly. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent short interest information, Mullen does continue to have short squeeze potential. But like I've said in previous videos, the only way to force a short squeeze is to have buying volume, a lot of interest coming into the play, a lot of money flowing into it. But if we're not seeing that, then of course it could continue to trade flat, and if we have a lot more sellers coming in, it will continue to pull back. So that's why I always emphasize, if you're going to be swing trading this, making sure that you're using the right risk management. You know your entry, you know your exit, and as far as your stop loss is concerned, you're respecting it. It's one thing thinking about having a stop loss, but actually putting it in place and following the plan is another. So you want to make sure you're showing some consistency in your trading plan. If you are an investor now, this pullback should be of interest to you, but you have to make sure you're doing your homework and you're doing your due diligence. And the reason why this is so important, if it decides to pull back even further, you will have no hesitations in regards to buying the dip. Of course, I'm not allowed to give you guys financial advice, and my videos are not financial advice, but it does give you a good idea of what you need to look out for and find a strategy that is right for you. Just don't go ahead and follow the crowd. You'll see a lot of videos that'll tell you, you know what, Mullen is going to the moon, it's going to take off. Even when the market is falling off a cliff and we're seeing rough market conditions, people are still telling you, hey, you got to buy this thing up. It's going to continue to go up. I feel that is just not right whatsoever. And on this channel, I want to make sure I'm being honest and I'm being straight up with you guys. Whether you want to hate me for it, I really don't care. As long as I'm giving you guys the truth and you're able to actually work with that and use it to your advantage, it will help you with your success in the market, so you can have the same similar strategy when it comes to other plays and be able to actually make some more profits as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.